a human being?
I think if you look at the environment in our country now, plastic bags are everywhere. You see it in what we now call informal settlement. You see it in the remote parts of Kenya on trees in Wajir and Mandera. We know we are polluting the environment and we're not disposing of plastic bags in a good way. We see it in rivers. Nairobi River is clogged with plastics. Most of our ditches are clogged with that. So I think the common man, everybody understands that we do have a problem on how to deal with the plastic menace and how to handle that. What I was alluding to earlier is then agreeing on what to do in a way that helps those who are currently in jobs that are directly connected to the production of plastics. If you see a lady selling fruit opposite Nairobi Hospital in Kenyatta Market, where they're putting the fruits, they're wearing plastics in their hands and they're packing that fruit in plastic bags. When Mama Mboga cuts vegetables in the evening for people to buy after work in Kibera, Lindi and other parts, they're putting it in plastic bags. So I think it's dealing with the impact of it that is causing concern. And then those who are in jobs, and we have an indication of the numbers of Kenyans working directly in the manufacture of plastics, and then you look at the entire supply chain. We're looking at over 80,000 people, and if you take into account the fact that any working person in Kenya takes care of about 5 people, then you're easily looking at over 500,000 people's lives being affected. So it's the reality of the ban that the ordinary mwananchi and the business community, employers included, are struggling with.
Go ahead, Charles.
Let me just comment on 2 key issues that have come up. The first one is on the readiness of the Kenya Association of Manufacturers to adjust. First of all, we are all in agreement. CAM, FKE, everybody is in agreement that we are all seeing the problem of plastic carrier bags as an environmental issue. That one, there is no contest. All of us agree. As a question regarding to preparedness, what we have done as a ministry is to prepare the industry for the last 15 years, to tell them that let's go to alternatives. And many of them have actually gone to alternatives. What you're seeing today in the exhibition is just part of the manufacturers who are saying we are now ready to go to the alternatives. So I expect the remaining of the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, those producers who are still doing the plastic carrier bags, to now do what the 41 exhibitors are doing today, to move to the alternatives. So I think the manufacturers, whether they are registered under CAM or not, they are ready today with the alternatives. And that's why we are here today, to show Kenyans that we are ready with the alternatives. The second issue I want to address is on employment. Personally, I don't want really to argue on the jobs that are going to be lost. I'm really excited about the jobs that are going to be created from the alternatives. And it will surprise you that the kind of jobs we are going to create are jobs that touch on common mwananchi, people who have access to the local materials, the natural resources available in Kenya, to be able to make these products available to the market. The last thing I will say about that one again is next week we are holding a meeting with the supermarkets and the exhibitors who are here today, so that, and RETRAC who are here, to make sure that we are able to support them, to link them to the market, and any kind of policy support to enhance their production. We are going to work together towards that. So I think there are no fears about this. New jobs will be there. The industry, we are working with you to prepare you. So we request that the Kenya Association of Manufacturers move with Kenyans, because that's where Kenyans want to go.
Samuel, are those statements reassuring enough for you?
Thank you. I think it's important that now that I happen to be touched by all the panelists, fellow panelists, I want to point out something that I was talking about, the alternatives. I've gone through the exhibition and I've seen the alternatives which are there. And actually I can confirm that some of those alternatives are geared towards solving one problem of the carrier bags. Just like Omboy has just said from RETRAC that the carrier bags is an easier way to go, though the alternatives which are there, the volumes may not be achieved that readily as to meet what the demand is. But I think that what I've seen is the alternatives which are there are on carrier bags, but a few of them, of course. There's only one that I saw that is purely, I could say, biodegradable, which is made from either cassava or starch. But the others, which are like this one I'm having here, which have been displayed there, but basically that is also plastic, 100% plastic. So whatever has been displayed, most of what has been displayed here are plastic, 100%. And that we'll have to discuss further. On the exemptions, some exemptions have been given even up to yesterday or the day before yesterday, which is a good move, but they need to be gazetted, as we said, because they are on the website and that's dynamic and it's not legally binding, and we hope that that should be done. We've been working very closely with the NEMA and the ministry. I want to repeat that, because we're not at war. We are not actually going against the cleanup of the environment or the plastics phase out. What we've been raising is actually concerns about the procedure and how gradual can this be done, and how much time was this allowed? Was it sufficient? Because, for example, we have plastic manufacturers who could want to go and start maybe using OXO, biodegradable materials, but then those materials are not registered in Kenya. The tests have not been done. It will take a process and see, is it really viable here? Is it an alternative? So KEBS will have to register. Those ones, tests have to be done. So that one is like the procedure was a bit abrupt.
So are you saying the 6 months that you had between the gazettement and the implementation was not long enough?
One, it was not long enough, but two, what we actually were asking for, the prayer was that why don't we go through a holistic waste management system or procedure whereby we involve everybody and we do the cleanups. Plastics which are being targeted are less than 5% of the solid waste. So we've done proposals with the ministry and NEMA that suppose we went the holistic waste management way, and we don't affect the current jobs, but we also create more jobs, but have a clean environment, because this has happened somewhere else.
But Samuel, the argument has been on the ministry's part, if I'm correct, Charles, is that you've seen this coming. The ministry has for years been trying to implement this ban, so you ought to have been ready. You knew that one day it was coming.
Thank you. The discussions that have been ongoing for the last 10 years, 15 years, like Honorable the PS Sunkuli has just said, is that we as manufacturers had a role to play in the cleanup of the environment. An excise was imposed on the plastic manufacturers, and we've been contributing the excise duty, which was supposedly to be channeled to the cleanup of the environment. But then when this has not worked, and the discussions have been ongoing on the same, if it didn't work, then there was another proposal that we came up with. And actually what we are saying is that the ban itself has not been discussed as we are discussing this ban, and with the intention of introducing the ban directly. What have been discussed in the past, what I know of, is that we need to clean up the environment. We need to clean up the environment, and that has been the discussion. But when this came on board recently, through the Gazette notice, we raised the concerns. Some of them have actually been seen and approved by the Ministry and NEMA that they are valid. That's why the exemptions are coming up. Okay. Yes.
All right. Did you want to respond, Charles, and then one more?
Yeah. First of all, I really want to thank Matonda, because he's also in agreement that he wants to, Kenya Association of Manufacturers who really want to be part and parcel of cleaning up the environment. And you can hear from him that there is a lot of willingness. One way of doing that, of course, is to get rid of the pollutant, the plastic carrier bags, and that is part of your major contribution that we expect. The second thing is about the exemption. I think the Gazette notice was very clear from the Cabinet Secretary. So in case there were clarifications, this is part of the clarifications that we have already made through the awareness that we've been carrying
In fact, Charles, on the exemption, could you clarify what is being exempt?
Just before I give that part can be answered by the Director General of NEMA, that including also what is being exhibited, whether it's actually 100% plastic. But I would like to say that we are very excited that you want to be part of it, but participate in this ban, and we shall be together. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'll come to you in a moment. Wambo, you've been wanting to say something.
Yes, I wanted to pick out one, as the PS was saying, it's a discussion that we've had for very long. The question remains, from CAM's point of view, of did we discuss a ban or did we discuss management? But because of how long we've had this discussion, I think it's time we start something. It evolves. I'll give an example of France, for example. They banned plastic, the similar ban, carry bags and the flat bags 10 years ago. In the implementation process, they started with the carry bags. It takes time because in spite of the ban, they actually effected the flat bag this year, which was 10 years later. So the practicability of it will happen as we go ahead. That is one. Number two, on the job creation, as the PS says, I think the exhibitors, if you've been around, shows you that it goes down to the local mwananchi. Capacity is still lacking, yes, but as a sector, we intend to start offering for sale the alternative, meaning we're not really looking to fill the whole gap that was left by the ban. We're looking to encourage you to get one bag. You already probably have a bag. Most people already have some sort of bag. In the African culture, a lot of people still have the kiondos. So we are encouraging you to go back to what bag you had. The plastic carry bag is 30 years old about. The supermarkets were there before, specifically Uchumi, before and Nakumat a bit, before the carry bag came into play. And they were still packing for people. So we're asking for a mindset. And that mindset, I guess we will do as we go ahead with continued education from the ministry and NEMA to allow people to rethink. In countries that they've actually affected the ban, and more so through the charging of the carry bag, it's been seen that you get a 70% reduction in like 3 months of using that bag. And the sensitization of why I'm not using the bag makes me think more about throwing litter. Because then if the education becomes, I don't use the bag because plastic is bad. What else is bad? Littering is bad. So it starts a new education that enhances awareness of the environment as we move forward.
All right, so some great positive steps that may come from this. Go ahead, Matty.
Just want to say I fully agree with that, and I wanted to just take us a little bit back to the economic impact of this. Clearly there are some people that will lose their jobs or will need to be retrained. But if we look at the economic impact, the socioeconomic impact on plastic bags, it's huge as well. The reason why Bangladesh was the first country to ban plastic bags back in 2002 was that it clogged up their sewage system and the runoff from the rain, and they had huge flooding, killing lots and lots and lots of people. So this was one of the reasons why they decided to have that ban. The other one, we have a huge loss of income from tourism because of plastic and other litter that is found on the beaches and in the national parks. Hundreds of millions of dollars every year. Equal amounts used just to clean up. And I think we can spend that money much better. We can see this as an opportunity for developing new jobs, green jobs, job for the youth. So I think if you look at the bigger economic picture, I think we have a huge opportunity here that we should not miss.
Okay, and we'll get deeper into the issue of opportunities and alternatives. But Jeffrey, first, just clarify, what are the exempt plastic bag items?
Smriti, I think that it's good to be clear. We've had this debate for a long time, and we can start developing circular debate on what is exempt and what is not. The Gazette notice is very clear about what is banned. And in fact, the issue that we have tried to avoid is what is exempt. Because when we look at it as if all plastics are banned, that is the time now we start talking about exemption. But really, there are only two streams out of a lot of plastics that are banned: the carrier bag, the one with the handles, plastic, and the flat bag. And I think by now, at least most Kenyans understand. We've displayed them a lot on TV, in very many opportunities that we have had to do that. So it's now getting clear. But I want also to say that because of trying to explain and make it more clearer, we have been engaging all along with stakeholders, RETRAC, KAM, and many others about what it really means, what the ban means, what is banned and what is not banned. Every time we try to be taken towards exemptions, we are refusing because we have only two items, and therefore even loss of jobs, it doesn't mean that there will be job losses because these guys are producing a lot of plastics. Let me go to the exhibition today. It's not about what we are going to be selling tomorrow. And if CAM, for the last 15 years, have paid attention, because we've been discussing this, but they are in denial. It's like a disease. You've been sick for a long time, and now the doctor says you have to take this medicine, and you are worried about the side effects of the medicine. You want to get healed, but your worry is on the side effects. What about this? What about this? That's not the issue. The issue is Kenyans are tired of plastics, and therefore today what we have are displays. And even there, you may find if they had agreed to exhibit, because it's about, we have what is banned, what is not banned, and a range of them. We have no standards yet in any of those. So I agree with him. We have even people who are presenting biodegradable plastics, but that doesn't mean that tomorrow they will be in the market. They have to have a standard, and we have to allow anything which is, and for now, let me make it clear that we are really not taking any plastic look-alike. Tomorrow, or from Monday, even if you have a biodegradable one, you can put it in water, it can dissolve. We don't, citizens and us are not going to be doing experiments. So that may be something which will come in future. 2 years, even 18 months from now. But for now, we are going for non-plastic alternatives. Whatever is in this place here is the range that is available to us and KEBS to actually give standards and then take it to the market. So we haven't really closed doors for anybody who thinks they can come and bring their items here. And anyway, by the way, if CAM had done their job, we wouldn't be doing this. This is not our job. We are not the ones, the ministry and NEMA are not the ones who introduce plastics. We don't sell plastics, and we will not sell alternatives. This is a job they would have done, and they would have avoided us coming here today.
Samuel, you're being accused, or KAM is being accused of not doing its job. What's your response?
Thank you. Before I respond to that, I want to reiterate on what Director General said regarding the Gazette notice. The Gazette notice is very clear, as he has said, that all flat bags and all carrier bags are banned. So that is why I said earlier that the exemptions that you are talking about, that is not legal binding. So when, for a normal layman understanding is that all industrial packaging, as he has just confirmed, all industrial packaging, whatever that we use in all the other sectors to package, you know, when you're looking at in plastics, you're looking at all the other packaging that is done in all the other sectors, other 14 manufacturing sectors, and all will be affected. And that's the issue. And maybe just to finish, or to go back to what you said, I know that what the manufacturing sector has been doing is that we have people or manufacturers who do recycling of whatever waste that they collect. We have some who actually have even invested in pyrolysis plants, like in Kiambu, that you've seen. So these are some of the users where they're using the plastics, the waste plastics, in cleaning up. And as I said earlier, if you go to Dandora, for example, you'll realize that plastics are there, yes, it's because they are visible, but we have 95% of all the other solid wastes there. We have started with plastics, yes, the flat bags, but we need to appreciate that that is not the only problem that we're having. And finally, tomorrow, or come Monday, DG has just said that we don't have the capacity, just like Ritrak also said, we don't have the capacity to fill in that gap immediately. And then the question will be, so are we ready for Monday?
Respond.
Correction, I didn't say we don't have that capacity. I said we do not need to fill that gap because the gap was given for free. So we're not looking to give for free. So the gap is actually not that, it's not a hole that we are looking to fill because we're not going to be given for free. We want to encourage that reuse. So even if we sell you a bag at 3 shillings, the next time you walk into a supermarket, you will remember, I need to carry my own bag. So we're not looking to fill in the whole gap. So the capacity will fill up slowly. What we will do is actually create a lot of employment, 1, and 2, new products that allow our indigenous Kenyans to actually stock in the supermarket that alternative. And that's the gap I'm seeing us filling, the gap that will be created out of anyone who does plastic needing to close or rethink their factory.
All right, Jacqueline, before I come to you, Charles, just a clarification. Is industrial packaging banned for now or not? Because you gave a press briefing yesterday, and if I'm not mistaken, you had indicated that bin liners and industrial plastic are not going to be banned for now. Is that correct?
The primary packaging, industrial primary packaging, is exempted.
So primary food packaging, for example, and things like that?
Yeah.
And what about bin liners?
The bin liners, yeah.
They're
also exempted.
Okay, thank you.
Smriti, it's good to be very careful with the wording. And also, we are also being very careful here because this matter is in court. So then we are being economical. But to be honest, we never banned them in the first place. You see, this is the misconception we are having. Why are we exempting things we didn't ban in the first place? So if it's very clear what we banned, and it is very clear even in the wording of the Gazette notice, we never actually banned industrial packaging. Okay. Why would we go for exemptions? I think we need to go in that debate. And then I think I want to make something also very honest about our engagement. When we engage at the technical level to unbundle this thing, and it is too late to be doing this, and in fact, we have done it, and very well. Some of the manufacturers actually understand this very well, because every time we call a meeting with CAM, I know perhaps there is a problem with flow of information because I see individual manufacturers actually coming to the meetings. And I find it surprising that their elected representative doesn't understand, but they understand. So this is where the communication gap is happening, and it's creating a problem. On the one part, some of the manufacturers who are even ready to comply are still waiting because of the position taken by CAM, which by and large is misleading. And we need a very high level of honesty in this debate. We are all Kenyans. And today, we ban plastic. I'm affected too. Both because it could be my brother, my sister, my son, daughter, who is employed and will lose a job. It is also my family who are affected by the same plastic. So I think a level of honesty is required here. And somewhere I think, without being, can we have this issue? Because we have already agreed that the notice is clear. The issue of exemptions is going to confuse people. If we know what we have banned, then we shouldn't be talking about exemptions. We are just clarifying. Thank you.
Okay.
Let me just clarify something there. You know, the Gazette notice, you can, if you've read it since it came into when it was published, we could get the words. It is actually talking about carrier bags and flat bags. How does the definition of industrial packaging come in? All plastic bags, as they are churned out of the factory, they are flat. Then when they go to the factory for packaging, they now take the shape of the product as they come out of the factory. So all flat bags, and that's why we are saying actually, it's yes, the way it is, it's a total ban. And that's how manufacturers understand. And the queries that I'm raising here are queries which I receive more than 100 emails every day responding to this. And that's where the FAQs, the frequently asked questions, because manufacturers have been asking these questions. So that is what I wanted to clarify.
All right, thank you very much. Let me come to you, Jacqueline. What's your response to all of this? Because surely for something like this to succeed, all stakeholders need to be on the same page. And in one respect, it seems that everybody is keen to ensure that plastic bags are banned, but there's clearly some differences on how to go about that.
Absolutely, and I think the Kenyans watching and listening to us must be confused, and there is need, in my view, as a quick reaction, really to clarify the position. What's been banned, and if the household disposal bags and the packaging material from the retail outlets are not banned, then should we be issuing a notice to exempt them? I think there is confusion, and there is need to clarify that because it's a question that keeps recurring. I read the Gazette notice, and I was actually asking earlier on, so what really did you mean by the flat bags and Gazette? What's been banned? That question is still out there, and perhaps we can undertake to clarify that. Two, let's not downplay the impact on jobs. We must be able, as the leaders of industry and government and other stakeholders, have a conversation about how to facilitate industry to create those alternative jobs and take up on the opportunities that we're talking about. Because to a person that is now working in an enterprise on a line that produces plastic carrier bags and all the people dependent on him or her, there's a big question: what happens to me come Monday? And many employers, of course, are having these conversations, as I said earlier, because they've invested in this particular kind of enterprise and manufacturing process. They are not directly perhaps going to be impacted by the opportunities that we see, so he's having to make decisions on people. And as a country, I think we needed to have this conversation much earlier, create a picture of the future we want, the positive, absolutely positive changes that, of course, will come from the ban. But then if we were to have alternatives, those are things which should be clear and well known out there. We are looking at a very good exhibition being done today, but it's 3 days before the ban. So to an ordinary Kenyan who goes to shop in Uchumi, Nakumatt, and all these other outlets, I saw a man saying, look, I don't normally carry a bag. So you're telling me when I come from home, for women it's easier to carry bags. But for a man, you have to do the mind shift change. It's a whole cultural change, because our interaction with the plastic bags, juala as we call them, has been very easy. You go and find it where it is. So how are we going to persuade people to carry bags with them, to have some disposable something? Because a man will not carry a kiondo.
Charles,
you know?
will you? We certainly hope you will lead by example.
Yeah, I really would wish that this discussion should not focus on the confusion of words. It should focus on our goals in protecting the environment, a decision that we have taken as government. But two things are here that I would like to touch on, which I don't want to ignore. The question of jobs, which we have already discussed, we have already answered. But I still want to say that that is part of the implementation. Well, let us enforce the ban in terms of supporting investment that we are seeing here today becomes a joint effort between the private sector and government in terms of shared responsibilities. And particularly in terms of expanding the production line among the rural women, that's going to happen. But if for men, I actually don't carry a bag, but I'm going to carry one, because it's a culture change. We've decided to protect the environment, we therefore must change. So let's focus more on the environmental goals, more than the confusion of the word, because I don't think we should be worried with the definition here. I mean, it's good, and we're going to clarify, but let's focus on the environmental goals that we aspire as a government and as a people of Kenya. Thank you.
And we certainly will. The next 45 minutes of this discussion will definitely focus on the new opportunities and alternatives. But as Jacqueline brought up, it is very critical to clarify for the common Mwananchi or your everyday shopper, because come Monday, the thinking is, if I'm seen with a plastic bag, I'm going to be fined up to 4 million shillings or jailed for up to 4 years. Now, those fines really are quite extortionate, so that clarification really is important. Jeffrey, I'd like you to tell us, for those people who have a stock of those plastic bags at home that they use to line their small bins, or that they just, keep to wrap whatever up, what does one do with those come Monday or today?
The PS has said we are going to have a meeting next week with all stakeholders. We have people who are registered with us or who are licensed recyclers. We have informal groups, youth, women, people with disabilities, that are in projects of reusing even plastics to make bags out of them.
But then those bags wouldn't be, they would be made out of plastic.
Yeah, I'm just, we can't wish plastic away. There is a cleanup period which is going to last up to 3 years. And what we are going to do is we take everything that we have and convert it into something which is usable. So it's not, that's why I was saying, even the exhibition, for example, if you have somebody who has exhibited a bag which is made from reusable plastics, we are not going to chase that person because we know there are so many plastics in the environment and we want them to end up being something useful. We are not going to incinerate them if they can be recycled. And therefore, what we are going to do now after the ban, and in fact, what would have done all along if we had cooperation from stakeholders, is this smooth transition that we are now saying has not happened. The day that this ban was pronounced by the Cabinet Secretary, and I want to make it clear that Kenyans actually don't really read Gazette notices. It is the communication we've been giving on the newspaper which has subsequently become useful. From day one, we actually did that. But we had a lot of people who were like, is this really going to happen? Is it going to happen? And then finally now we are looking like we are rushing because this is the time people are waking up and saying, hey, this thing is really going to happen. So now what? So there are a lot of people who have been lost, by the way, who have caught up just now. Looking forward, the PS is saying, we have a cotton industry which is struggling and which the government is looking to raise. This is ready market. Cotton industry right now employs almost no one. So what is going to happen when we have alternatives made from cotton in terms of employment? Plastic is made from petroleum material. It's all imported. If we are now going to have alternatives which are going to be made from materials which are obtained locally, what kind of employment are we talking about? So really, it's even going to be more than 10 times better than what we are having now.
And we will focus on that, but just to reconfirm, will we be communicated to about what to do with our stockpiles at home? Because the last thing anybody wants is to be caught off guard or with a stack full of plastic bags.
Let me clarify this also further. We are aware that all of us have the plastic carrier bags in our houses. But I want to say there are two levels of implementation of this ban. Of interest to us as a ministry is first of all to make sure that we stop the production. At the industry level, we don't want to see any more production. The second one is now enforcement if it is found in Turkana, elsewhere. That will be done by the county government as part of their waste management regulations. So we have two levels. And then, of course, we are also going to have an expanded education and awareness to tell Kenyans, if you have any remaining plastic bags, please ensure that it's collected by the municipal authorities. That is what we are going to do.
So really, this requires support from across the board, of course, including county governments. And we'll come to the issue of political will, because that is key.
Yes.
Okay, yes, just very briefly, then I'll come to you, Meti, and then we'll take a quick break.
Let me start a little back. I know Samuel talked about a waste management system. I want to inform Kenyans that we already have a national solid waste management strategy, and the ban of plastics is an initiative, is a step in the implementation of this plan. In 2015, and they missed the boat, we launched it and called all stakeholders. Actually, CAM did not even attend. So now to talk about we want to do a national solid waste management strategy is not the correct position. We do have, and this is what we are doing. So as soon as this ban happens, we are going now to start with the take-back scheme. Right now, they are still selling, so it won't, and we already have take-back schemes in supermarkets. Once they stop selling, we are going to request them, and that's why we have this meeting, to be some of the centers for the take-back, so that the recyclers or any other sectors which are now going to clean up the environment of plastic and make them into useful products can actually now get points of collection. So we need to have established points of collection. We'll announce it to the citizens, whether it will be supermarkets, certain licensed recyclers, or any other place where central collection points where this can be collected for recycling.
All right, briefly, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I think it is the discussion is very, very interesting, and we've picked a few things here. One, that there's going to be a stakeholder engagement next week, which is very important. We'll participate. And then we have also looked at how prepared are we for this? How have we been communicating about this? There should have been a stakeholder engagement involving everybody, KM and many others, as Jacqueline just mentioned before. Whatever we're discussing now, that's why we've been saying that if there was a comprehensive discussion on this, public participation about the ban as it is, the topic be the ban that we are going to have it, and this one is going to happen, I think it would have been very good. Then I want to go back to what I saw on the NEMA website this week. I think on Monday or Tuesday, there were a list of exemptions on a frequent asked questions. They changed and included some products, pharmaceutical and the garbage bin. Then a day later, two days later, they also uploaded a form, a clearance form, to industrialists, asking them to clear with NEMA, DG NEMA, to clear with DG NEMA before they do any industrial packaging with the flat bags. What happened? From where I sit, that day I received more than 200 emails within 5 minutes. Everybody writing and asking, what is this? We are seeing it for the first time. Then there was an issue there that there has to be a TBS system, take-back scheme, whereby they have to commit that they have that. And then another term that was there is the EPR, the extended producer responsibility. All of these were done this week. I wish they were done 6 months ago when the ban came. Because now, I know there is a queue and there's a rush now to fill in the forms and bring them to you for those who are, because when they ask, you said, just go along, try to ask for that clearance, and there is now a backlog and there's a lot of rush and panic. So some of this, that's why I'm saying the preparedness of this and the time that is taken, because now these are instructions from NEMA that we need to do this. And I said earlier that we are not against a clean Kenya, and we have been supporting waste management activities. So these, when they come late in the day like this, they cause a lot of confusion, and there is a lot of inquiries which come, which are not answered yet. So that's now the question, the preparedness of and the transition that we are talking about.
All right, before we take a break, I'll give you the opportunity to respond.
I can understand some of the preparedness that you need to do before Monday, but I want to assure Kenyans that as a ministry, we are very good friends and partners of Kenya Association of Manufacturers, and we work with them very well. Maybe this time round we are trying to really find a balance on how they can continue with the business, and we are interested with sustainability, environmental sustainability of their business. If there are issues to do with forms, the Cabinet Secretary is here in this meeting, and the Director General of NEMA is here, and I want to give direction that should you have any problem with filling the forms or anything, we want to say that between now and Monday, NEMA will have a desk to address all your issues 24 hours. So be free, and NEMA will be prepared to help you. There should be no problem. We are not trying to make it difficult for CAM. We want to make it a little easier. Remember, as a government, we are always interested with the ease of doing business. So we'll make sure that CAM is able to comply with the requirements and will support you. So there should be no cause for worry. Thank you.
All right, thank you. There are clearly some major differences, but that is part and parcel of a great friendship, as you say. You are all friends. All right, my panel will stay here right with me as we take a quick breather. We are discussing the upcoming plastic ban that takes effect on the 28th of August. We're coming to you live from the Kenyatta International Conference Center, where there is an ongoing two-day exhibition, and the theme is Innovative Alternatives and Opportunities, the case of the polythene bag. We've talked about the challenges and really why plastics need to be banned. But when we come back from this break, we'll talk about the positive side, the new opportunities, and how you can embrace them. Do stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back to this live broadcast coming to you from the KICC this morning, where the exhibition titled Innovative Alternatives and Opportunities, the case of the polythene bag, is currently ongoing. You are all invited. This is open to the general public. You are more than welcome to make your way here to the KICC to have a look at what the alternative products are instead of those polythene plastic bags. So as the exhibition continues, and as I mentioned, we will head over there shortly, so too does my discussion with my guests. We've got representatives from the United Nations Environment Programme, also FKE, the Ministry of Environment, RETRAC and KAM, and also NEMA. Thank you all for staying with us. Now, Mehdi, before we closed part one of the discussion, there were clear differences from various stakeholders about this ban and the lead up to the ban. Perhaps some viewers may be left a little bit confused, thinking, oh, the major stakeholders aren't even in agreement. But overall, is this ban going to be possible in your view?
I would like to first of all congratulate Kenya for being in the forefront on tackling this issue. It is a huge issue. There are a few countries around the world that have already banned plastic bags one way or another. Kenya has taken a very brave first step. But let me just say that we are focusing here on the single-use plastics. Not all plastics are banned, and that would be virtually impossible to do. Plastics are good for many purposes, but we're looking at seeing how can we reduce the amount of plastic bags that end up in nature, that end up in our ecosystem, that end up in our animals as well, and therefore affect us as well as the environment per se. So we're looking to see how we can deal with that category of plastic that is a single use. Now, there are there's a bigger picture here as well. Clearly, as we've heard also earlier today, we need to look at waste management in more general terms. So we have started to see how can we help countries, individuals, civil society organizations, businesses, and so on, deal with this issue. So the first step we've taken is we have started a campaign called the Clean Seas campaign, which is particularly focusing on getting commitments to two things. One, to ban the single use of plastic or the use of single plastic bags. And the second one is to deal with the microplastics, so the tiny, tiny little bits of plastic that are used in the cosmetic industry, for example. So those are two first steps. But there is a much bigger picture. We need to deal with waste management. We need to deal with other pollution aspects. So in December this year, we have a meeting of what's called the United Nations Environment Assembly, where all the governments from all over the world, civil society, private sector organizations, come together here in Nairobi to discuss what can we do to move towards a pollution-free planet. And we have a great case study to show here for Kenya. And I think we were inviting everybody to be at that meeting to come and showcase what is it that we can do, big actions and small, individual citizens, businesses, governments, municipalities, to move us towards a planet that is free of pollution.
All right, thank you very much. And going forward, of course, there are so many opportunities that come with the push for a cleaner environment. Earlier we spoke about the worries that perhaps some organizations have, or some industries, people who work in factories that produce plastic bags. But Wambui, tell us, from the Retail Trade Association of Kenya, what are some of the key plus points that will come up thanks to this ban?
I guess for my retailers, I would start with saying, out of the three top costs of any supermarket, for example, is rent, the HR function, that is salaries, and then the plastic bag. That changes. In some outlets, the paper bag cost is number 2. So the ban of this paper creates a saving that we can then put into other resources. It could be CSR projects, it could be bringing up an alternative, creating facilitation for the alternative sector. That is one. Number 2, even as we're looking at growing the industry, it creates for us an opportunity to to give back more to the environment especially. If I use an example of Tuskies, I think, Tuskies and Naivas together, they both have women groups that they've taken up who they're facilitating to create the alternative bag and start filling the hole that shall be created by the absence of the plastic bag. By giving capacity to those women, you're again impacting the local Kenyan, because that is a woman in, say, I know there's Nyandarua and there's Naivasha as well. The area will get benefits out of those women having income into their pockets. So those are the pluses we are seeing.
And what about FKE, Jacqueline? Of course, there is a major concern from that body, but do you...
The whole discussion around greening the economy, green jobs, climate change is a bigger issue than the plastic ban. The plastic ban is a start. We're choosing to start there. But I think as a country, we are talking about looking at our entire environment and addressing the issues that are hampering us from having a cleaner, healthier environment and workplaces. So there are opportunities to look at that and new jobs that can be created in recycling, what to do with our youth, what can they do. We've looked at our forests, we can look at cleaning up our rivers, and certainly there are sectors of the economy that could produce raw materials for producing, if it's the carrier bags or what we're banning, reviving our cotton industry. There's the hyacinth that has been a huge menace in some parts of this country. We could look at that. We have palm trees that we don't really use much of in terms of the leaves and the waste material. We have sisal. So I see opportunities perhaps for us to have a different conversation about these sectors of the economy that we have neglected, have not invested as much in, and creating new jobs there so that women groups and the youth can produce materials that can be used to fill the gaps that have been created in what's being banned. But really looking at it in a more broad perspective, what else can we do in those sectors? And also looking at the issue of waste management and actually having a commitment as Kenyans to have a cleaner country. Because in every city, every town that you drive into in our country, there is waste. The way we dispose of our litter, of our garbage, of our waste material. It's a bigger conversation that we need to have as a country on creating the Kenya we want. And yes, I do see opportunities there. The catch is how to have these conversations in a way that carries all the stakeholders, the business community, the employers, the manufacturers, alongside government as we create policy, so that it is something that we agreed on about the future we want, and we get there together, not leaving huge questions that perhaps we're trying to address at the last minute. There are lessons to be learned. The idea of banning plastics is good. I think it creates a bigger conversation. And if we address the issues that I imagine, I think we'll be able to benefit as a nation.
Samuel, does the Kenya Association of Manufacturers see potential great opportunities coming from this plastic bag ban?
Thank you. As I said earlier, is that the Kenya Association of Manufacturers is actually pro a clean Kenya, and we are hosting the Global Compact actually at the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, meaning that we are green. We are doing a lot on green economy. But if the issues that we've raised, the concerns were addressed, and then there is that comprehensive discussion, and then the procedure is followed to the letter as it were, then I think I see a lot of opportunity, because already we have several manufacturers who have imported. I know one who have imported equipment worth 1.3 billion shillings for recycling. It's based just near Nairobi environs. There are others who are also coming up with how do we now make bins. They are seeing an opportunity in manufacturing waste collection bins, because they are nowhere. So that is an opportunity. We are talking about others who will also want to do poles, because if it was a waste management system, entire waste management solution, then that means they will go more to collecting these plastic bags at the collection centers, as he said. Once we collect them, where do we take them? It's the private sector to come and now utilize this to make other products from out of that. And that is the positive we're already engaging in. And we already have, actually we have formed a waste management sector, the 15th one, and which has already been in discussion, and I think it's the right way to go. And so what we are only raising, what the issues we have been raising, like which were not addressed, like the stocks in the process, which you asked very well, and of course the Kadogo economy, and then we were talking about the single use and the micro. You know, there are several definitions so that needed to be done, guidelines, to make sure that there is no black market in this kind of business, and that nobody is going to be disadvantaged. The formal sector are doing marvelously well. But if these ones are not very clear, and those are our concerns actually, if these ones are not very clear, then we may have loopholes for corruption and all that. And that's what we are trying to avoid. Thank you.
And Charles, on that note of risks of cartels or people taking advantage of this or various loopholes, what mechanisms does the government have in place to address those potential threats?
First of all, I really want to thank Mr. Matonda for that kind of proposal, that as a new opportunity for Kenya Association of Manufacturers. I think it's a big step forward arising from this discussion. But in terms of protecting the manufacturers from possible black market, I want to say that we work together closely with CAM, and this is an area that, as government agencies, we should be able to work together to make sure that we are protecting them. So we'll take deliberate policy decision to protect, to make sure that there is no undercutting that will arise from there. So we commit to work with the private sector, the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, to curb any undercutting.
All right. In a moment, I will venture into the auditorium to seek out and have a look for myself and bring light to the viewer on what some of these alternatives are. But Jeffrey, just in a nutshell, tell us what are some of the possible alternatives to plastic bags for the viewer who's watching that is so used to going empty-handed to Nakumatt, for example, and having their shopping packed in a bag. What are the alternatives for them?
I'll start from no alternative, which means that the first question you ask yourself, do you need a bag to carry something? For example, you have just thrown away a water bottle, and now you go to the shop to buy milk, and you get milk in a plastic bag, a flimsy bag. But you've thrown away a water bottle which you used, and you're waiting for someone to come and clean. It would make sense to actually take that bottle, go for paraffin or milk with it. And it's not just about talking about Kadogo economy. This affects all Kenyans. The people who throw away useful stuff for recycling are the same ones who go buying something which is going to pollute. Second, you go to the supermarket, you have a car parked outside, there is a trolley, and then you buy a lot of stuff. It's put in about 10 plastic bags and put in a trolley again, taken to your car, you put it in the boot. When you get home, you realize that you actually didn't need those plastic bags. So you can actually avoid them. That's the first thing. Talking about alternatives, let's start with the, and I'm going to talk about non-plastic ones, because we are saying we want first to revive the cotton industry. So cloth, old cloth that you don't need, because sometimes if we are not, a lot of people don't even give it to needy people. They just actually toss them in a bin and you find them. Take them somewhere where they can be recycled. Those clothes, whether they are new or old, can make bags. Cyperus plants, which are found in wetlands areas, and sometimes we burn those wetlands and make them farmlands. We can actually sustainably harvest them. If you have used the eastern route, the one going to Meru around the mountain, if you buy fruits, you get that in a basket. And that basket is reusable. It's made from raw material that is locally available in swamps. You go to KICC. People sometimes say, let us not go to that, there is more carbon footprint. I agree, but why on farm forestry has not thrived in Kenya is because we have not created a market for trees, softwood. If we venture into that, the paper industry, farmers can actually do plant trees, and we are trying to get to 10%. This is one way. Then we go to, I had talked about cotton. Sisal industry is struggling. Kenya wants to revive the sisal industry. And this is the bag. And let's not talk about men cannot carry, men can, but if you cannot actually carry a bag, you can buy. How can you not be able to carry, you are too cool enough to carry a kiondo, but you can't buy a bag which is the alternative that is provided. So if you don't want to carry, use money and buy. Because we are not limiting the amount of bags you can take if you are buying the correct type which is reusable or which is the natural alternative that we provide. So we have many alternatives. Then we have the bin liners, because I've been asked about, to talk about, during the break, some people talked, can you say about bin liners? Can you say something about those who have seedlings, nurseries? Can you talk something about those people who are packaging flowers and fish for export? I want to give good news about that, and that is why we were saying about primary packaging. There is something we are calling extended producer responsibility. What, you know, people are thinking we are fighting too much, but no. If you want to package fish, if you want to package cut flowers for export, if you want to package, if you want to do seedlings, the manufacturers are going to do exactly what you want. They are going to label it in their name and in your name. So we are not going to have any more unlabeled bags. And what we'll never do, every year we are going to do an audit in the environment. So it's your duty to clean up. If you are selling plastic and manufacturing plastic, it is up to you to clean up, because we don't want to see plastic in the environment. We are just going to read and give you a check. That's all. So it's going to be, we are not going to stop anybody from doing this. We are going to connect you to the manufacturer. They will produce for you for seedlings and all that, but it's up to you and them to know how you are going to have a take-back scheme or clean them out of the environment.
But then what happens in the interim? In the interim, for example, if those bags are not labeled at the moment, they may take a few months. What happens between now and then?
You know why this is a difficult question? Because we have asked these people time and again to declare the stocks. So we are assuming that there are no stocks out there. If you are the one declaring stocks and you are telling us, this is how much I have, we would have already told you, because people are asking for exemptions, extension and all that. We don't have that information. So I cannot even purport to answer that question. The first thing is for you to declare to us so that we know exactly how we are going to help you. But without that information, we can't make assumptions.
All right, fair enough, Charles.
Just to follow up what the Director General of NEMA has said, from this discussion, you can realize how much we've got to work together with Kenya Association of Manufacturers. Like, for example, from our end, we'll say there's no stock. We don't have stock because we do not have information. I know we had requested to get this kind of information. We do not have that information, but this, of course, confirms what combined effort, what joint collaboration between ourselves and CAM can do to be able to assist CAM to deal with some of these challenges. So we expect more collaboration, and we invite CAM to work with us. We are prepared to help in any of those, some of those questions, to be able to address them. Thank you.
Go ahead.
I wanted to say something on the DGs saying that you can buy as many bags as you want. One of the reasons we want to start the culture, for most women, when you go to a green market, you know that the lady selling or the man selling will ask you to buy the green bag or the yellow bag. So your consumer behavior has already been changed by what you already know exists. In the situation of the supermarket, what normally happens is that the carrier actually assesses you. The only people who get 10 bags are people who will obviously be driving, who in most cases are people who don't need the bags. If I'm going with public transport, the most I will want is 2 bags. I only have 2 hands. So if we start the culture of selling the bag, what happens is, one, I could throw everything into my trolley, push it to the car, where I'll then be having a bag to offload on. If I don't have a bag, I will still be able to either get a carton. We're still going to be having cartons. We'll have unga balers that are available in the supermarkets that will allow you not to need that bag. And if you're buying the bag, the next time you come to do your shopping, because then if you want a durable bag, we'll have a range from the incidental man who walked in without anything and will need something.
Like Charles.
But Charles,
yes. Charles is better sensitized.
Yes, we'll provide for him maybe a bag that costs 3 shillings that is in the right alternative. If I want to buy a bigger bag, a more durable bag, we'll have bags ranging to all extents. Carrefour has a bag that's 150 shillings. It's what they call a bag for life, meaning I will make the 150 investment now. I can use it for the next 3-4 years, and when it starts wearing out, I take it back to Carrefour, and they give me a new bag for free. So it gives me an incentive to actually look after that bag and constantly use it because it's convenient, it is easy to carry around, and I don't have to spend 3 shillings every time I'm at a till.
But for many people, that durable bag worth 150 shillings is too expensive. They cannot afford it. So are you saying we certainly do in the market have affordable bags as little as 3 shillings that
Yes.
are also durable, or will
that are durable. They have to be durable, because then we don't want you to buy whatever 5 items you've bought, and the minute you step out onto the pavement, the bag spills out everything you had. So it will be a durable bag, but it will not be as durable as the more expensive bag. What I'm saying is that we'll have the team. Consumer behavior will have a better available. Most of the big hopefully those who do not have will have a solution by Monday. But at the same time, I want to re-emphasize on the bit of bring your own bag. Bring your own bag.
But the B stands for bag.
Yeah. Yes, so that you do not have that challenge. And I want to appeal to the general public. It's a new thing, and people are resistant to change. And free has always been very easy. So I know we will have a conversation with consumers at the till who will want to know why. I read an article in England, there was incidences of a lot of people just leaving their stuff at the till at the moment you're told you have to buy it. I know we will have that. But let's try and work together for the sake of the environment. Bring your own bag. 3 shillings is a small amount. It could be a big amount for somebody else. So that person I would encourage, let us start thinking of the reducing, reusing. Let's start thinking about bringing my own bag of whatever nature, because a lot of people do have a bag that will carry their 2-3 items.
Meti, this has been alluded to, that a lot of this has to do with an entire culture change, an overhaul of the mindset. Kenyans sometimes are very stuck to their own ways. So what's your view on that? How critical is it that really people start embracing this and changing their own personal attitude towards it?
That's exactly what we need, and that's what we're trying to do. What's trying to be done here in Kenya, in other countries, either through a ban or on a fee on plastic bags and plastic bottles for that matter. But we really need to have a change of mindset of the individual person. It starts with you. It starts with me. What am I going to do to make sure that the rest of my family, my friends, my children, my grandchildren will grow up in an environment that is healthy, that has no pollution, that is not affecting neither myself, my health, or the health of the animals or the plants that are living on this planet. So it does start with individual commitments. So what we have done in the lead up to this big assembly we're having in December is we are trying to ask governments and private sector, but also individuals to come up with a commitment, come up with a pledge to say, this is what I'm going to do to help move us towards a pollution-free planet. And carrying a bag or a basket, Kenya is famous worldwide for these beautiful baskets that you prepare. Carrying that to the supermarket is a very, very small step to take. We can all take that. There is a great initiative that I stumbled across a couple of days ago where they say, bring your old jeans, the ones that have holes in them and you're not using anymore. Bring them to us. We will sew them into a bag for you for free. So there are huge opportunities here, and I think we need to embrace them. I think this is such a positive challenge, and I think we all need to work together and as individuals to meet that challenge, and we can.
As much as it's up to the individual, Charles, the county governments and, of course, the national government have huge roles to play. In your view, as we stand here 2 days or 3 days to the ban, what is the political will looking like at the moment? Do we have the right sort of political will to tackle this?
The political will is evident. The Cabinet Secretary has already signed the Gazette notice. That is political will. Yesterday, if you watched on TV, the deputy governor of Uasin Gishu said that, talking to a few of his colleagues, they are all in agreement that this ban is important and they are going to support. We have had a chance to informally talk to the politicians, and everybody is saying that is the right thing. And the political will resonates with what the ordinary Kenyans are saying. They all see this problem. So in terms of political will and support, we have the support. Thank you.
And what's different this time? Because we know in the past the attempt to ban plastic bags has failed a couple of times. So what makes it so different in 2017?
What has made this push go this far is because the Cabinet Secretary in charge of the ministry herself is the one driving this agenda. The East African, the EAC, the IALA, the East African Legislative Assembly, passed a bill against the use, importation, and manufacture of plastic materials. We also have the Sustainable Development Goals, which we are party to as a country. In terms of meeting the objectives, as the political constituency in Kenya, that has really come out to support this ban. So I think we have, for the first time, we have the support of almost every segment of society, politicians, local wananchi, and even the private sector. Even Matonda, my friend here, actually supports it. He only wants us to work closely in the implementation, and we shall do that. Thank you.
All right, before I come to you, Wamboy, let me just invite the audience to prepare themselves for questions. Please raise your hand, and one of my colleagues will come to you. When I do come to you, please stand up, give us your name, tell us where you're from, and please keep your question concise. We will only have time for just a few questions, so please bear with us. All right, go ahead as we prepare for the questions.
I wanted to add, even as the ministry looks to work with consumer behavior change, I think one of the things that I would implore on the government to do is revisit the curriculum and bring back the environment into the curriculum. One of the things I keep repeating is, there are two things I don't do. I don't chew gum, and I don't walk on grass when there's a pavement. It is something I was taught in school that you do not do. And things you learn, especially when you're in your lower primary school, tend to stick with you. So I won't chew gum, I won't walk on grass if there's a pavement, I won't throw something out of the window. Somebody said during the break, why are we punishing the person carrying the bag, yet the bag that has been littered, somebody is responsible for throwing that out. So if we bring back into the curriculum the environment, the importance of the environment and taking care of it, I think we will start at an early age. The new generation growing will think twice about throwing things out of the window as you drive, or dropping a paper wrapper, a sweet wrapper as you walk. So let's also ask the Education Ministry to perhaps bring back, I don't know whether it's been brought back into the new curriculum, because then we can also start with that generation at an early age, that they know the importance of looking after the environment.
Charles, is that something your ministry is pushing for to the Education Ministry?
The ministry has already established a Department of Environment, Education and Awareness and has already recruited staff. The department has already liaised together with the Ministry of Education and other course providers on environment to make sure that the curriculum is designed in a way that environmental sensitization takes place from a younger age up to the maturity age.
All right, thank you. Mehdi, your response before we go to questions.
Yes, I was just going to add that we also have a coalition of the universities in Kenya that are already working also with our program to look at how we can help them become green on campus and how we can help incorporate environmental sustainability into the curriculum at the university level. But clearly, we need to start much earlier.
All right, thank you very much.
To respond to something.
Just yes, briefly.
One is on EALA. EALA passed a bill, and they gave 18 months, but it has not been signed by the presidents. When we talk of waste management, we are talking about awareness creation, and that's what our proposal is about: awareness creation, behavior change, and that has been because if we make people aware not to just litter. Then we collect these plastic bags back for recycling, even those which are going to be used from industrial use, from industrial packaging, then I think we are in the right direction. And that's what that's why we said it's only the procedure and the way this has been handled is what we were differing on because of some issues which have not actually even been answered in this forum. But we leave it at that for now. Thank you.
All right. Okay, let's turn our attention to the questions now. Please, give us your name and tell us where you're from and direct your question.
Thank you. My name's Dorcas Ndogo. From a distribution, we distribute industrial raw materials from a company called Crystal Reflection Limited. My question goes to NEMA representative, and I would like to ask, if you are serious about taking care of our environment, for the exempted papers, why are you not advocating for the biodegradable product, which you just need to put 5 to 10%, so that if you are doing, we want to take care of our environment, we do it from the first time we start to do it.
Thank you. Jeffrey, your response.
Thank you. I think the answer to that is simple, and it is also going to answer Samuel's issue. I think the issue here is strategy. We have no problem with biodegradable. We have heard about counterfeits, we have heard about this, and they are in exhibition here. The instance we start these connections and transitions, then we develop points of weakness. Why we failed before is that we talked a lot, and we didn't do anything. We didn't act. Why we are succeeding now is because the Cabinet Secretary has stood firm. We have all supported this. We can, and this is work in progress. The first thing we want is to get rid of plastics and to avoid counterfeits. When we start talking about biodegradable, and I addressed this issue before, then we are going to have weaknesses. So the first thing we want is start from a place where we know we can address counterfeits. We know where these papers are coming from. Right now we have the manufacturers, the ones who are known. There are even more who are unknown. And that's why we are worried about trying to bring something which will go into the market and we can't tear apart A from B. So it's not that we don't want biodegradable. For now, the first thing we want to clear plastics, then we start looking at it from there. Now, where do we go ahead when we don't have counterfeits, which we can't tell?
All right, thank you. Meti, did you want to say something?
Yeah, just want to add to the discussion on the biodegradable, because it sounds like such a great solution, but it isn't always so, because there are many very different things that are called biodegradable, and they can only degrade under certain circumstances. So if you don't have a waste management plan, if you're not collecting it and putting it into an incinerator or another area where it actually degrades, it may still end up in nature, in the ocean, and last there for quite a long time and still have that impact on the marine life, on the livestock that you have that are eating it. So biodegradable per se is not an only solution or the best solution in many cases, unless it's connected with other items as well.
All right, thank you very much. Go ahead with your name and question.
Thank you very much. I'm Brian Ochieng from the British Army. I was asking the non-production companies, for example, like British Army, are they also exempted from this ban because they heavily depend on plastic bags, maybe for packaging their products? And also, what's the long-term solution for the manufacturers? Because from the Gazette notice, I understand that they have been exempted for some time, but what's the long-term solution, and for how long will they be exempted from this ban? Thank you.
All right, do we get a response there from NEMA again, and then maybe KM?
Yeah. This Gazette notice applies to everybody within the Kenyan territory, and it is applying to all citizens, Kenyan citizens and non-citizens.
All right, thank you. Okay, to the next question.
Thank you. My name is Vikash. I represent Cygreen Africa. First of all, I would like to congratulate everyone involved in introducing the ban, which I think will benefit our country and the whole nation. My main issue is on the biodegradability. I do agree with you on certain points about the counterfeit and all that. But there are products out there which we have that are made out of starch, waste vegetables, which biodegrade in 180 days. They're not harmful to animals, even when consumed. So why can those not be allowed straight away as the alternative, especially with bin liners, when you have the take-back solution, which can create so many problems in waste management, then you have the water cleaning and all that. While these, yes, we do not want to pollute an environment. Even if these are thrown into the environment, they will biodegrade in 180 days. They burn like paper, so it's not harmful to the environment at all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Response?
Yeah, I had addressed that issue. If you wish to manufacture bin liners using biodegradable material, we have no problem with that. Plastic, whether biodegradable or non-biodegradable, for now is a no-no.
All right, thank you very much. On to the next question. Please stand up and give us your name.
My name is Danson Ligare. I work for Nordic Ecoflex. We are doing also OXO. My question is to the PS, maybe NEMA. I know the objective of this ban is to preserve the environment. Now, my thinking is that why can't we adopt the best practices in terms of waste management, waste collection, and also waste disposal? I think that could be a better approach than just rushing to a blanket ban that is going to affect the environment, because human beings are also part of the environment. If we have jobs that are being lost, to me also that is destroying part of the environment. Why couldn't we have thought of thinking of the best practices in waste collection, waste disposal, and waste management as a whole? Because to me, that is the major problem we had with plastics, not just them, not the reason for them just not being biodegradable. I think so.
Thank you. Charles, go ahead.
That's a good proposal, and it is part of culture change that we are saying here. Part of our education and awareness is to target the public, the Kenyan population, to stop the throwaway culture so that we can adopt better waste collection mechanism. And this we'll do with the with the county government who are in charge of municipal centers, especially where the waste generation is very high. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Aisha Karanja, today representing an organization called Back to Basics. And first is to really congratulate the ministry and NEMA, because this is courage. This is real courage. And to say that this is not the first time Kenya has tried to do this. So we have to have a deadline. Because if we don't have, there will always be issues. There will always be concerns. And I'm glad to have heard that the institutions like Ministry of Education is being involved, because that was my first point. But I'm now thinking about Wanjiko, because yesterday when Wanjiko was being interviewed somewhere on the ground, one of the things that the small business people were talking about was that the plastic is synonymous to their business, and probably very true. For example, the Githeri business, the Githeri man and all this. This could be true because they started when plastic was there. So what are we doing about, is there a plan for Wanjiko, because they don't know any other way to do their business, and what is being done? And also one last question is to say that...
I'm afraid we're out of time, so if you don't mind, we leave it at that.
Okay, sorry,
question.
the last one to just say that there's a law that if you're caught with plastic ban, there's a fine. How enforceable is this? And is there really some legal plans or measures to ensure that this is enforceable?
All right, thank you very much. Wambo, would you respond to the question about Wanjiku?
I think the question of Wanjiko goes back to the discussion around the flat bag and whether what she's doing is primary packaging or not. I think that's a discussion that's still out there, actually. The alternative I've seen in the exhibitors goes only to the biodegradable person. He's the one who has an option. But as the DG says, that is still not allowable. So we will wait to see how it evolves on Monday. I am sure NEMA will and is addressing that particular aspect. NEMA tends to, he answers, when I ask that question, his answer is, we are not in the business of giving you an alternative. It is the business community that needs to come up with it. I'm sure come in their routine letters adopt the new regime, we'll come up with a solution pretty soon.
All right, thank you. Jeffrey, your response to the issue of the fine. Some people find that extortionate, up to 4 million shillings or 4 years in jail. How exactly is that going to be enforced? Because on Monday, if the county policeman sees Wanjiku, for example, with a plastic bag, is she really going to be fined or jailed?
You know, the law was made in a consultative manner. The Cabinet Secretary did not gazette that out of nowhere. It is coming from Environment Management and Coordination Act, which was reviewed in 2015 with a lot of public participation to align it with the Constitution. The issue in the past, like in many other environmental crimes, was that it is not punishable enough. And that was done for forests, that was done for wildlife, it was done for environment. And it was public participation. The revision was well known and publicized. I think the issue of asking, is it implementable, is just like a policeman telling you are doing something, then you ask them, are you going to arrest me? Really? You know, it's not like that. And we are not, our intention here as NEMA, the Principal Secretary has said the county government has a role. You heard about Kidero grass? How long did it take people to know that it's wrong to step on the grass? The littering laws in the counties, like don't smoke here, this is a smoking zone. Don't throw away paper. It was very effective. And therefore, it is sometimes, and it is about strategy. Somebody asked, why did we fail the last 2 attempts? There's something called strategy so that you can succeed in these things. And therefore, in the issues of compliance and enforcement, it's not about to give people the clues about how they are going to avoid this thing. It's just for people to know this is wrong and the law says this, then you comply. If we start discussing about arrests and all that, but our aim is first to cut papers from the source. Before we concentrate, even from Monday, we are not concentrating on arresting Kenyans who are carrying plastic bags. Our intention is to ensure first we block the manufacturing and the entry points where plastic is coming from, reduce it from the environment as we are continuing to educate Kenyans. We are not interested in arresting Kenyans and telling them. In fact, we are asking for their goodwill, but the law is there for us to implement when and as we wish. All
right, thank you. Let's take the final question here because I'm afraid we're out of time. Yes, go ahead.
Is it on?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Sam Muturi. I am the founder and chairman of the Institute of Packaging of Kenya, and I'm teaching at the Technical University of Kenya. One of the subjects I teach university-wide is packaging technology. I'm not asking a question, but I want to give a mini micro lecture. I have been on this subject for the last 20 years. When we were established in 1996, one of the subjects we made a symposium and a conference about is how to manage plastics. So my position is, or our position is, the banning of plastics is the most retrogressive decision that was taken since the turn of the century. We have to know how to manage plastics. And the lady has talked about 4R, 3R, reduce, reuse, recycle. And there's another fourth R called recover, energy or materials. If we did that, we will not be having this problem. We have to build two types of intellectual infrastructure. One is the intellectual infrastructure, teaching people not to discard materials, be they plastics, be they PET bottles, be they cartons, be they anything. This is the infrastructure we must build, first of all. If we build that, the other physical infrastructure will come in as a natural process.
All right.
This is our position. Please don't make this a retrogressive decision. You are hurting Kenyans. Plastics definition is that it must be as cheap as possible and maintain the quality of the product to the place it is going to be used.
Thank you for
your comment. It will make Kenyans' life very difficult. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Very sharp response there. Charles, being the Principal Secretary of the Ministry of Environment, that came from that single-use plastic bags will be banned. The gentleman says this is retrogressive. In your closing remark, what's your response to people's attitude such as that?
I would like to say that the Constitution of Kenya, 2010, it gives every Kenyan the right to live within a secure environment. The role of government is to ensure that that is achieved. This is one way of achieving that for Kenyans under the Constitution. The second issue is that the Kenya Vision 2030 aspires Kenya to be an industrial country with a population living within a middle income level, but living within a secure and healthy environment. That is one part of our aspiration. We also have the Sustainable Development Goals. We want to ensure that Kenya, having been one of the key drivers of the drafting of the Sustainable Development Goals, we want to take the leadership in making sure that our development is congruent to environmental conservation. The last thing I would like to say is that I want to thank Kenyans for the support they have given us in this regard. So far, we've received a lot of support from Kenyans, and I would also like to really thank members of the Kenya Association of Manufacturers who have come forward to support us by developing alternatives. We, as a ministry, would like to say that we are with you. We want to be together in moving the environmental agenda forward, to work together with the Kenya Association of Manufacturers and the Kenyan population. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Jacqueline, are you optimistic for the future, and your closing remarks?
From the employer's perspective, we want to say that this is a good move by government, but we need to carry all stakeholders with us and address those issues that may negatively impact on job creation and investments, because we need to develop and support our enterprises to be sustainable so that we can create jobs. The future would be good if we work together with this in mind and engaged effectively whenever there is policy change. And for sure, what we would not want to see is a focus on the punitive elements of the new law. The penalties are drastic, they are excessive in my view. So how we implement them is very important, because what we want to encourage is voluntary adherence and compliance, so that we are able to create jobs in new sectors. And as a Federation of Employers, we are willing and ready to work with the government to achieve that objective.
Mehdi, are we on the right track? You've seen, being with the United Nations Environment Programme, many successful examples. Are we getting there?
I certainly hope so. As you said, there are many examples around the world dealing with this issue, dealing with other issues related to pollution. And I think we are seeing a groundswell also in individuals coming up with commitments and pledges to help do their bit to make this a pollution-free planet. We owe that to our children and our grandchildren. I want to applaud the government of Kenya. It really has shown great leadership in this area. We're working very closely with them. We're also working with the private sector to come up with solutions. I'm really very excited about the solutions that are being presented here today. We will have more at the assembly that we have in December, and we're also collecting data from around the world on alternative solutions, and we'll have a report on that coming out later this year, which I hope can also act as inspiration.
All right, thank you very much. Wambui, what is your final word on this issue during this discussion?
One, I don't think it's retrogressive. I think it's the way the world is going, so it really can't be retrogressive. Secondly, the ban has to start somewhere. And as the lady at the corner said, we will never have the perfect time to start. So you must start and then deal with the challenges as they come up. My appeal to the public, get a reusable bag, bring your own bag. And let's try and embrace the change, because it's for the good of the future. To NEMA, may we continue talking with the stakeholders so that as the challenges of the practicability of implementing the bill come up, we're able to deal with them and find a way to deal with the users' challenges that are coming out. Let's continue unbundling the ban. I'll end by saying, for me and for my industry, I think it is time. Let's start a culture of reduce, reuse, so that we are all benefiting in the long term.
Thank you. Samuel, despite KAM's major concerns, what is your view on the way forward? Is it positive?
Well, what I'd like to comment in conclusion is that if I can remember, some time back, Nakuru was the cleanest city in Eastern Central Africa. That time, plastics were around. I think, don't know what happened, what went wrong somewhere. Now, Kigali is now in the forefront, because I've lived in Kigali for 2 years, and I really is spectacular. What we've been differing on as Kenya social manufacturers and the ministry and NEMA is actually on the execution and public participation and inclusivity in the process. Before, whatever we are doing now, we could have done then this could have been smooth and everything goes on smoothly. So if the teething issues are handled, and then solutions are provided on the questions that we've been raising all along, the bottom line is that I want to recommit that the Kenya Association of Manufacturers is ready to ensure that there is a clean Kenya through a comprehensive and holistic waste management. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And finally, Jeffrey, from the National Environment Management Authority, NEMA, what is your closing remark?
Thank you, Smriti. I think I've had my fair share of talking. So I would like to thank Kenyans for giving us this constitutional mandate to create for them a clean and healthy environment. I'd like to support them again for being with us through this journey so far. And going forward, I want to assure them that we are very honest. We are doing this from the goodwill of Kenyans and for the good of Kenyans. We are not going to have any, can I say, hidden cards when we are implementing this for compliance and enforcement. There will be no witch hunting, and therefore I want to assure you that our intention is to create a clean and healthy environment. And going forward, I'm really going to plead with Kenyans to continue supporting us. If this is going to work, it's going to work because of your support. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much to all my panelists. I'd also like to thank the audience for your cooperation and your questions. Apologies that we didn't get to take all questions, but perhaps you can engage the panelists directly after this. I'll start by thanking the Director General of NEMA, Jeffrey Wahungu. Thank you very much. And also Samuel Matonda, the sectors expert at KAM, that's the Kenya Association's Manufacturers. Beside him, Wamboi Mbarire, the CEO of RETRAC, that is the Retail Trade Association of Kenya. Charles Sunkuli, the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Environment. Thank you very much for your time. Also Jacqueline Mugo, the CEO of FKE, that's the Federation of Kenya Employees, and also Meti Wilkie, she is the Director of the Ecosystems Division at the United Nations Environment Programme. Thank you very much to all of you. Pleasure to have you with us. All right. You have been watching this live debate about the plastic bag ban, where we've come from and the way forward, what Kenya hopes to achieve. And remember, there are solutions. We are at the KICC where an exhibition is going on, and it is themed Innovative Alternatives and Opportunities, the case of the polythene bag. Do stay with us. We're taking a very quick breather, but when we come back, I'll be venturing out into the now crowded auditorium to get a sense of really what these alternatives are. I'll be asking your questions. What are they made of? How are they better for us? Where can I buy them? How much do they cost? Do stay with us. In just a moment, we'll be exploring the new alternatives.
Plastic polythene bags are pollutants. They are toxics, and they affect our health negatively.
We must free our streets, our environment from plastic bags. Kenya is a signatory to the Sustainable Development Goals, and we cannot reverse our global contribution to Sustainable Development Goals.
The reason we are phasing out plastic pollutants in Kenya is so that we can ensure that every Kenyan has the right to a healthy environment.
We expect the alternative carrier bags to be manufactured even by cottage industries, which will create more jobs to the young youth, to the youth, to the women.
Let us work together to phase out these bags. We have so many natural resources here. In fact, we are endowed as a country with many natural resources. We can create packaging materials from bamboo. We can create packaging materials from water hyacinth, and so many other materials. Let us all work together to ensure that we protect ourselves from these plastic pollutants and toxics.
All right, well, right now I am bang in the middle of the auditorium here at the Kenyatta International Conference Center. We began with a panel discussion, but now we're right in the middle of this exhibition, which is showcasing the various alternatives to plastic bags. Now, many of you head out to the shops with your paper bags, your plastic bags, or rather, a lot of you don't head out with them, but you get them at the till. But things are going to change as of the 28th of August. If you are caught with a polythene plastic bag, you risk being fined up to 4 million shillings or being put in jail for 4 years. Now, that ban is all in the bid to protect the environment and to ensure a cleaner, greener environment. What you're looking at on your screens are potential alternatives. So now What you need to do is invest, research into what is available in the market, and then make an investment. Some of these items will cost as little as 3 shillings, but some will cost up to maybe 150 shillings. So what's happening here at the expo is a display on what you can buy. In just a moment, I'll head over to some of these stalls to get a better sense of really what the bags are made of, also how much they'll cost and how they are better for you as an individual and also for the environment. As you can see, the crowd here is really building up at the KICC, and let's just walk around and get a sense of what to expect. Now this looks interesting. It's not plastic bags, it's something else, but it is packing. Let's see if we can speak to anybody. Hi, is there anybody here that can speak to us about what this is all about?
Okay, this is an eco-friendly pallet that is made out of corrugated paper. Okay. So we are trying to introduce a concept that is being used in Europe, whereby they are using these pallets to be able to ship, especially for shipping purposes. It's lighter and it saves on freight cost.
So are these more, are these more for manufacturers or shoppers?
Exporters.
Ah, okay.
Freight. Yeah.
All right, and this is obviously eco-friendly. It's even titled Green Ox Pallet Technology. What are people using for freight at the moment? Why is this better and how is it different?
At the moment they are using wooden pallets, and wooden pallets are heavier, and they need fumigation for it, and they cannot be able to when they get there, they have to fumigate it and everything. But for this, you don't need to do anything. And it's lighter. So when they are shipping, it will cost them less for freight.
So cost effective, much lighter, and better for the environment.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. All right, so that is all about packaging. But come with me here at the KICC and let's find out what you, as a shopper, can shop around for. And this moment here, I am shopping around because it's so busy here at the KICC. But let me try make my way through. If you follow me over here to this stall, let me ask this lady if she'll tell me what her wares are all about. Excuse me. Hi. We're from NTV. Can you give us a sense about what your kind of packaging is like?
Okay, we're trying to now deal with the ban that's coming for the polythene bags, and we've come up with products to deal with that. So for example, this one, it looks like a purse, but it's not a purse, it's a shopping bag. So, but it's very portable, can fit even in your handbag. So you just open it up like this. Oh, wow. Yeah, and then it becomes a bag. It's a big bag. It's waterproof and it's washable, and it has even this. So you can put your money there, your mobile phone there, put it back here, and then the zipper, and you're good to go.
Solution. Have a look at that. So when the lady showed me this bag, this was the size of it. And when she said that, oh, this is a shopping bag, I thought, maybe for a little, toddler who wants to buy sweets. But it actually transforms into this. That is awesome. How much does one of these cost? 700 shillings. Okay. Mm-hmm.
When you open it up, it's this.
All right, now for many people, 700 shillings is a lot of money. But is this a one-off investment?
Yeah, it is. It is durable and it is washable and it's like water. It doesn't leak. So you can put even your food stuff, even if it's wet vegetables, you can still put there and go back home. It's not going to dirtify your clothes even if you're from the office. Go back home and when you're done, you just wipe it and put it back in your handbag. It is durable.
All right, and where can someone access shopping bags, well, fancy shopping bags such as these?
Thank you. Actually, we don't have an office yet, but we are on Saturdays and Sundays, we are in K1 at the flea market. That's where we are.
All right, so, sorry, just say that again, you're at?
We are K1 at the flea market, Parklands Road. That's where we are.
And that's on Saturdays?
Saturdays and Sundays, yeah. But also we have a Facebook page. We're online and we also do delivery within the CBD. So you just have to call us. Masungula Crafts.
Masungula Crafts. All right. Thank you very much. So really some very, very innovative ways of going shopping, and no doubt you could look pretty cool walking in with a tiny little purse like that and transforming it into a bag. All right, before we wind up, let's come here. This looks like a different sort of technology. It doesn't look as fancy. Hi, is there someone that can talk to us here about what this is? All right, so take us through what you have on display.
What we have here are 100% biodegradable bags. They're made from vegetable wastes, vegetable oil derivatives, and industrial starches. So this bag is actually one of the best alternatives you can have to plastic because it's 100% biodegradable. It dissolves in the environment in 180 days. It breaks down in soil, and it can actually become fertilizer. So the components of this bag are actually so safe. These bags are actually edible by both humans and animals.
Wow, an edible bag. Who would have thought? It does feel like plastic, but you say that it's not made out of plastic. Is it durable?
It's quite durable, but being a biodegradable bag, it has a shelf life of 6 to 8 months, so which actually adds to the value of being a biodegradable bag. Yeah.
And where can one purchase such a bag? What can they use it for, and how much will it cost?
Well, the uses of the bags are quite varied. Because currently we're still setting up a manufacturing plant, but these bags actually vary in price based on thickness, size, and obviously color. Branding will make a difference. But in comparison to plastic, we're trying to bring the cost down. Currently we're about, I would say maybe 20 to 30% more than equivalent of plastic. So in this bag in plastic would be about 20 to 30% more.
All right, thank you so much. All right, so some great innovative solutions there, an alternative to the plastic bag. There are so many stalls set up here at the KICC. Very, very busy. We don't have the time to head around, but you are invited to come and see for yourself. This exhibition is open for the next 2 days here in the Salvo Ballroom at the Kenyatta International Conference Center. It is alternatives and innovative solutions to the polythene bag, which, remember, is set to be banned as of the 28th of August. That's in just 3 days. Do comply with the ban when you go shopping. BYOB, that's bring your own bag, or at the till you will now be served with alternative options, and you may need to pay a fee for that. All right, you've been watching our in-depth coverage of this event and a discussion about the plastic bags. But that's all we have time for right now on NTV. Thanks very much for joining us. I'm Smriti Vidyarthi. Bye-bye for now.